Hello, my friends, and welcome to a brand new episode of Discourse in Magic. My name is Jonah Babbins, and this episode is a little bit different. Usually it's interviews or bite-sized pieces of food for thought, but this is a segment from a workshop that I ran last week, all about scaling your business. This was a private workshop just for magicians who were scaling their business. That means going from 5 figures to 6 figures, or maybe you have a 6-figure business and you're trying to grow it without spending your whole life behind your computer. So the workshop itself was an hour and a half of fun and questions and drawing and worksheets and all that good stuff. But this was about 20-ish minutes from the beginning, so that you can get a little bit of an idea of the kind of things that I work with my coaching clients with, the kind of things that we work on in these workshops, and the kind of things that it takes to grow and scale your magic business. So enjoy this segment from the workshop, and at the end, I will tell you where to go to learn a little more. Enjoy! Let's talk about what we're doing here today, okay? The point here today is to have a thriving 6-figure magic business. That's what we're doing here. I'm gonna write it, thriving 6-figure magic business. You may already have a 6-figure magic business. That's amazing, but it may not be thriving. It may be really difficult. What does it mean to have a thriving 6-figure magic business? Well, 3 things. The first is that you make more money. Okay, magic should not be this kind of thing that you're really struggling and it should be very hard to do. No, it should be easy for you to make more money. The second thing is you should be able to perform for more people. The reason we're doing this is to reach more people, to actually perform and have people see what we do, entertain. That's why we're here. I mean, that's why I think most of us is here. And the last reason is I want you to have more fun, okay? A lot of the times our magic business, we get weighed down by how much of it is performing and how much of it is working and doing and emails and calls and da-da-da-da-da. And I really would love for you to have more fun. So that's what it means to have a 6-figure magic business. What is it built of? Well, I'm going to talk about first the things that it's not built of. The things in your magic business that you may be really struggling with. The first is going to be leads. And I'd love if you wrote this with me, because this is the biggest struggle in a magic business, is not having enough leads and being stuck saying, I people like me when they book me, but I can't seem to get them to book me. And the difference between a 5-figure and a 6-figure magician is this. A 5-figure magician is focused on getting another gig. Okay, that's the difference. A 5-figure magician is focused on getting another gig. A 6-figure magician is focused on constant lead flow. Okay, think about that. What you're not trying to do is grab another and grab another and grab another. You're trying to make sure that the channels that you have that bring in leads are open. By the way, I would love to know in the chat, is this, Murish said something really, really valuable here. He said, that's the biggest struggle for everyone in every business. That's totally true. But I want to know in the chat, post a 1 if leads is a big struggle for you. If you're like, hey, I would love to know how to get more people who can bring into my business. Love that. Okay, cool. The next section, I'm seeing a lot of different ones. This is really, really good. The next section and the next thing that people really struggle with in their business is, not being confident in the things that you're selling, okay? Not being confident in what you're offering. This may look like you not having promo material. This may look like you not knowing what to say with clients on the phone. This may look like you not knowing how to actually seal the deal. This may mean you not being confident in what your pricing actually is. Okay, what's the opposite of that? Well, it's what a 6-figure magician does. A 6-figure magician knows their market, they know their offering, they know their pricing. When people reach out to them, they're not saying, oh, please, how much could I charge to possibly get this gig? They're not bending the way that they do things based on each inquiry that comes out. A 6-figure magician does the opposite. They say, this is how much I charge for things. And if a client says they don't have the budget, then they are not the type of client that you should be working with. And if a client somehow has 5 times the budget, well, you are going to lose out, but you're going to understand where your window is. That's what a 6-figure magician is you going, I know that most of them are giving me X, and this is the range I live in, and this is what I'm confident in, and this is how much my stuff is worth, and you not being afraid and guessing every single time. So I'm going to write, what's the opposite? Well, the opposite here is confident sales. That's when you know what you're offering. So I'd love to know, put a 2 in the chat. I have some halves here from people in the mastermind who are crushing it from the leads, which is great. But put some 2s in the chat. I'd love to know if you're struggling with sales, like you don't know how much your stuff should be worth, you don't really know how to convince a client, you don't really know how to follow up with clients, you're not sure what to say on the phone with clients, you see other people getting a lot more for their gigs than doing the same stuff as you, and you don't really know why that's happening because, you know, as you can think to yourself, they're not better. They're not better, but they're somehow charging more and getting more. If that's you, put a 2 in the chat. Love that. Super, super helpful. Let's talk about the last thing. This last section is my favorite, and this does not exist for a 5-figure magician. I'm going to explain. A 5-figure magician starts growing their magic business, and it is them. Okay, it's them. And it's not super, the things you need to do are not super confusing. Well, you need a web page, you need a video, you need to start getting people in front of it, right? You can send email. There's lots of different ways to do it. We're going to talk about it today. But as soon as you start scaling your business, you need to have a lot of other things. You need to have better everything. You need to have lots of different emails being sent, lots of different systems and operations. And the difference between a 6-figure magician and a 5-figure magician is that a 5-figure magician is a 1-person operation. Okay, the type of magician that says, website, I can build it myself. Edit my promo video, I can do it myself. Email my clients, I got it. Make promo material, that's for me. Totally, I can do it completely. Okay, not only does this lead to mediocre things across a whole bunch of different categories, right? Average videos, average websites, average stuff. But way worse than that is it burns you out from doing the thing that you want to do, which is performing magic. Doing actual magic. You do not want to be weighed down with all of these processes. You want to bring people in. And how do you do that? Well, you have simple systems. Okay, this is the truth. I mentioned bringing people in, but that's not the only thing. There's lots of ways to do this, but you have to be very, very protective of your time because your time is your energy and your energy is what you put into performing. And if you're going to double the amount of gigs that you do this year or double the amount of business, you need the energy to do that. And you certainly don't have the time right now to double the amount of emailing and other, business work that just falls on your plate if you're going to be doing it at the same time. So I'd love to know if you're having struggle with like time management, with you having to do everything. I'd love if you posted a 3 in the chat. If systems is something that's trouble for you, you're spending way too much time at the table, spending way too much time staring at your computer, you're spending way too much time answering emails, finding things yourself, building things yourself, doing things yourself. I'm seeing a lot of 3s here. Yeah, a lot of us magicians want to, and rightly so, perform magic. Right? We want to perform magic. John says 3, I have a full-time job. That's such a good point. A lot of us here are doing magic on the side. We're trying to have a magic business, grow a magic business, and you have a full-time job and you don't want to get home from work and then start work again at your night job, which is getting yourself gigs. We really want to be careful of our time. So I'm going to break down the leads. Okay, because there's 3 different places that you can be getting your leads from that especially most magicians struggle to juggle. I'm going to tell you what it is. The first one is your past clients. Okay, ask yourself right now what kind of relationship you have with your past clients. I'm going to tell you a sentence. It's really, really true. The people in this world that are most likely to give you money are people who have already given you money. Okay. And every time someone reaches out to me to help them grow their business, they say to me, Jonah, where do I get new leads? Where do I get new leads? And I say to them, hey, we have leads that you already have that you're completely ignoring because you're hungry for new leads. And you've got people that are going to go elsewhere. They're going to go find some other thing because you don't really have a relationship with them. Okay, I'm going to tell you about someone right now that comes to mind. Someone in the mastermind, his name is Manuel, and he had the same thing. He joined the mastermind. He was doing pretty well. He had like $80,000 or $90,000 business, and he said, Jonah, I want to get new leads. And I said, okay, just before you do that, we're entering December. It's the busiest virtual season ever. Why don't we collect all the list of everyone we've ever performed for ever and send them a campaign and get them excited about the thing that you have offering in December? And he sent me an email literally 2 months later, and he said, just reaching out to the people that already knew me, that have already booked me in the past, made me $8,000. Instantly. Okay? And just think about that, right? How many more $8,000 or $10,000 or $12,000 increments would it take to get you to where you're looking for? Okay, let's go to the next thing. What's the second way that you get leads? The second way that you get leads is through active prospecting. It's through actively going out and getting leads. And I'm just going to write active lead gen. What do I mean by that? Well, that means that when you wake up in the morning, you actually do a thing that brings in leads. Now, I don't know what it is for you. It could be cold calling. It could be emailing. It could be, setting up Google ads. It could be faxing. There's somebody that faxes in the Zoom Magic Mentor. It's amazing. Whatever it is that you do, however it is that it's an active thing. It's the thing that you wake up and do every single day. We're going to talk about some of the things that I think you should do, some of the easiest methods, but this is really, half of the business. This is the way that you get the gigs. You reach out to potential clients. You reach out. That's half. And many of you who are really smart can think of what the last category here, which is the passive lead gen. And this is just as important, but often forgotten. What's passive lead gen? Well, it's things like your social media. It's things like SEO, getting your website to rank. It's these processes that you do that don't help directly, but help indirectly. The things that you need to make sure you're doing in your business that don't mean, it's not like you're going to an event and you're promoting your stuff. That's active, right? Hey, you should hire me. Hey, university, you should hire me. Hey, college. No, it's not like that. These are the kind of things that fall through the cracks of stuff you should do, but you're not really doing them. And okay, let's move over to the world of sales. Really, same thing with sales. There's 3 big ways where people are getting this wrong. The first is what's called your sales pipeline. Now, I would not be surprised if many people here don't have a pipeline, because you probably think to yourself, what do you mean pipeline? Somebody inquires and then they either book me or not. But if you think about it, there's a couple different steps there. They inquire, then you have to convince them to get on a phone call, then you have to send them follow-up information, then you have to follow up with them multiple times, then you have to close the deal with an invoice, and maybe you also inside of that get a referral. And if your follow-up procedure looks like, booked, thank you so much, see you Thursday, or hey, thanks for the email, here's our pricing, then you're losing out on a whole bunch of money. And just ask yourself, from inquiry to booking, and be really honest, and if you want to, you can post this, but ask yourself, from inquiry to booking, what percentage of your leads fall through the cracks because they refuse to get on a call, because you forgot to follow up with them, because you didn't reach out again, because you didn't send them good enough promo material, because you didn't. Just think about how many of that. It's not. Don't blame yourself. Right? It's because you don't have a system that's in place. Ben said I lost a ton doing that. Ben is a funny example in here because he's sharing, what's really going on, but also he's my business partner and we do the shows together. And one of the reasons I started working with him is because he have a lot of stuff in process. He wake up and be like, I have a bunch of emails from a bunch of clients I have to get to and I really don't want to. Right? And I don't know if you feel that way, but sometimes you have to do that. You have to be like, I didn't forget to follow up with that guy. I forgot to reach out to that person, right? Maybe that's really common for you. Okay, let's move to the next section here. This is how you sell your stuff, and specifically, this is your pricing and packaging. Look, if we perform for a full year and we get our pricing completely wrong, like we grossly undercharge, it makes a huge difference. A huge difference. And we all know that, right? We all know that, inside, and especially some of you, Kelvin just said huge. It reminded me to say this, especially some of you who just went through like a December or a November where you performed a lot, and then you looked down and you went, what the heck? What the heck happened here? I was sweating performing these months, and I did not make as much money as I thought that I did. right? And also when you're on the phone with clients, the way you explain your pricing helps them have confidence in you. It helps them understand you. It helps them want to book you, right? So the difference, Ben just said if you charge $200, it takes 500 shows to get 6 figures. We're going to talk about that today. That's so exactly right. The last thing here, and this makes a huge difference, is your marketing material. And I'm going to write here marketing material. And what I mean by that is how you look in the eyes of the client, of the person who's booking you. How are your photos really? Honestly. How are your videos really? How is your website really? Do you have actual graphics and material to send them when they inquire that makes them go, whoa, oh my goodness, this person rocks? Okay? This makes a humongous difference because when somebody's booking you, 90% of the time they're coming from the internet ether land. And all they understand is what you share with them. And here's the real truth. We're on a sales call with a client, and after that sales call, we get off, and a lot of the times they go and present that to a team. And if you didn't give them stuff to present to that team with, then what happens is they go to the team and they go, hey, there's this great magician. They do some awesome stuff. You're going to love them. They really rock. They've done awesome stuff for awesome companies before. And the person goes, that sounds horrible. That sounds awful. I'll take none. Right? Because it's just whatever's in their mind about a magician, which could be like some random TV show. But instead, if you say, hey, look at this video. This person's done this. He's done this. Look at this. It looks just like our event. He would be perfect. Look at this video. She's amazing. Look at these stuff that she's done. She's done events just like this. She would be perfect. Right? Look at all these testimonials. They're just like us. This would be perfect. That stuff makes a huge difference. Let's go to the last section here. 3 pieces of systems that you have to really think about. The first in your business is automation. Okay? You need to make sure that as much as you possibly can in your business is done automatically. Are you sitting there waiting for someone to email you so that you can reply instantly? That's a bad strategy. That is a bad strategy. Okay, we have to figure out a better strategy. Another question, when somebody is added, how are they sent invoices? How is that stuff tracked? Are you running around and generating PDFs with random information on it every day? How many hours are you spent pulling these sort of things together? Ask yourself in your automation how long it takes you to get somebody their information. How many emails are you rewriting over and over again by scrolling back to an old email you sent, copying it, and repasting it and editing some things? How much time are you spending doing that? And how much automation would make a huge difference? That's the first. The second, I've been sort of dancing around this the whole time, and that is hiring. Okay? We'll talk about part-time, we'll talk about full-time, we're talking about bringing people to help you with your magic business, okay? If you want a 6-figure magic business, you are not doing it alone. It's just impossible. It's just impossible. Okay, I don't know anybody who is some people are saying that it's true. There are some people that are doing it alone, but it may mean that you're beginning to burn yourself out and you're trying to get some free time back. Okay, so if you do have a 6-figure magic business alone, you're getting the gigs, you're getting the leads, you're doing the selling, you're sending an email, you're doing everything, then I have a hunch that you wish that you had some more free time. Just a hunch. Not 100% sure, but a lot of you, really, the difference in your business is literally you having somebody to do the things that you're spending your day doing so that you can spend your days doing the things that you want to be doing. Literally, that's the equation for half of you, is just getting somebody to do all of these things, the emailing, the invoicing, the prospecting, all of this, so that you can do the things you want to do. The last section here, and this is something that I've been thinking a lot about recently, especially for entrepreneurs. We're out there, we're deciding how we spend our time. This is work-life balance, okay? And that's what systems are all about. How many of us are spending way too much time doing this? Like at our desks, at our computers, at our things, spend enough time traveling. And many of you are doing virtual, so it's not the case, but if you're doing it in person, we spend enough time traveling, okay, that we really don't need to spend that much time doing this. And we need to think about how we actually spend our time. Well, there you have it. I hope you liked the workshop and I hope you enjoyed it and learned something, took away something that you can actually use in your business. 2 things. Number 1, if you want help scaling your business, then down below there's going to be my email address down below, info@discourseinmagic.com. Send me the word scale, 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 and I will know, and I'll send you some more info about what it's like to work together. That's number 1. But number 2, if you just want in on workshops like this in the future, all you got to do is go to discourseinmagic.com/updates, and you can sign up there and learn about everything as it happens. New episodes, live workshops, cool videos, lots of stuff that's just for you. Thanks for being here, and I'll see you next Thursday. Peace.